I grew up just outside Asheville, North Carolina. Those Appalachian trails were my escape, my peace. Whenever I needed space, I'd hike the same familiar path into the woods behind my house. I knew every tree, every stone, so well that I never even bothered to carry a flashlight, even at dusk. But last fall, I realized the trail had changed. Or maybe something changed it. I left the house later than usual, around sunset, wanting some fresh air to clear my head. The leaves crunched under my feet, the sky turned shades of orange and purple, and soon the forest went quiet, unusually quiet. About half an hour into my walk, I began to feel disoriented. At first, I blamed it on the fading light, but soon the trees around me seemed different, older and thicker. They arched over me like they were trying to close me in. I stopped walking, turned around, and tried retracing my steps, but the trail behind me had disappeared entirely. Instead, there was a different path, one I'd never seen before, twisting deeper into the darkness. My heart quickened. I pulled out my phone. No bars, no GPS, nothing. Then I heard footsteps behind me, slow, deliberate, keeping perfect pace with mine. When I walked, they walked. When I stopped, silence. My breathing sped up, my palms started sweating, and my gut twisted with fear. I spun around, but the trail was empty. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow between the trees, a tall figure standing perfectly still, watching me. I bolted, running blindly through the woods. Branches clawed at my face, roots caught my feet, but I didn't stop. The footsteps chased me, growing louder, closer. Panic surged through my veins, pushing me forward. Just when I felt I couldn't run any further, I burst onto a familiar dirt road. I stopped, gasping, turned around, and the woods behind me were calm again, as if nothing had ever happened. But now, every night I look outside my window, half expecting to see that figure standing at the edge of the woods, still watching, still waiting for me to come back. Every summer, my friends and I would camp by Moosehead Lake in rural Maine. It was our tradition. Bonfires, stories, laughter under the stars. Last July, though, was our final trip, and I still can't shake what happened. That night started like any other. We sat around the fire, joking, roasting marshmallows, telling ghost stories until midnight. That's when we first heard the voices. They echoed from deep in the forest, perfectly imitating our own. They repeated our jokes, our laughter, exact conversations we'd had moments before. We all froze, looking around nervously. "It's gotta be someone messing with us," Jake said, but his voice trembled. Then clearly, from the dark forest, we heard Jake's own voice call out, "Guys, come quick! You've got to see this." We stared at Jake, horrified. He whispered, "That's not me." Fear settled into the group. We huddled around the fire, telling ourselves it was just some local kids playing a prank. But the voices kept calling, luring us deeper into the trees. Eventually, Jake couldn't handle it. He stood up, muttering he had to find out who was doing it, and stepped into the darkness before we could stop him. We waited anxiously, calling his name, but the woods had swallowed him. We searched desperately through the night, but Jake was gone. No signs, no footprints, nothing. To this day, sometimes late at night, I swear I hear Jake's voice whispering my name, begging me to come find him, somewhere deep in those dark Maine woods. I moved out to Oregon for peace and quiet. I bought a small cabin just outside Portland, backing up against miles of thick, untouched forest. At first, it was perfect. Just me, the trees, and the silence. But after a month, things began to feel off. It started subtly, an odd feeling of being watched, especially when I walked through the woods in the evenings. One night as twilight set in, I heard footsteps behind me. They were soft, careful, matching mine exactly. I stopped. They stopped. I moved. They moved again. My heart raced. I spun around quickly, expecting to see a hiker or an animal, but there was nothing. Just empty woods stretching out into darkness. I hurried home, locking the doors behind me, trying to convince myself it was just paranoia. But it wasn't. Later that night, I glanced out my window and saw a tall, shadowy figure standing at the edge of the forest, facing directly toward my cabin. I froze, unable to move or breathe. After several minutes, it melted slowly back into the darkness. Since then, I see it every night, always at sunset, standing closer and closer, each night clearer, each night more defined. Now, I lock my doors and close my curtains tight, terrified that tonight might finally be the night it doesn't stop at the tree line, but keeps walking, right up to my door. My uncle had this old cabin deep in the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. Growing up, it was a place I'd spend summers fishing, swimming, and telling ghost stories around the fire. But after what happened last year, I haven't been back. It started with a simple hiking trip. My uncle and I decided to hike to an abandoned mine. The walk took longer than expected, and by the time we returned, it was nearly dark. The cabin felt different that night, colder, emptier. As we settled in, I heard a soft knock at the door. We exchanged confused glances. No one else was around for miles. When we opened the door, nothing but darkness and empty trees. Then, throughout the night, the knocking continued, gentle, rhythmic, persistent. We checked repeatedly, but nobody was ever there. Just darkness and silence. By morning, the knocking finally stopped. But when we stepped outside, the front porch was covered in footprints, bare, human footprints circling endlessly around the cabin. We left that morning, and my uncle never spoke about it again. But sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear that same gentle knocking outside my own bedroom door. When I was 18, I worked as a counselor at Deer Lake Summer Camp in upstate New York. It was beautiful, secluded, perfect for outdoor adventures, but every counselor knew the rumors about the Watcher in the woods. Late one night, a camper went missing. Panicked, we searched everywhere, woods, lakeshore, cabins. Hours passed, and around 3 a.m., I ventured deeper into the forest, calling his name. My flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows through the trees. Suddenly I felt it, a presence, cold and still, directly behind me. I spun around, my flashlight beam slicing through the darkness, revealing nothing. But something whispered softly behind me, a voice low and raspy. "He's with us now." I stumbled backward, tripping over something. I aimed my flashlight down, a child's shoe. We never found that camper. Now every night when the woods are silent, I still feel eyes watching me, waiting patiently for me to return to Deer Lake. I used to drive through rural Wisconsin regularly, visiting family on weekends. There was always one stretch of road that made me uneasy. Locals called it Old Mill Road, a shortcut through dense forests. One evening, eager to get home early, I finally took that shortcut. The road was narrow and winding, trees crowding close, branches scraping against my car windows. My headlights barely pierced through the thick darkness. Suddenly, the engine sputtered and died, leaving me stranded in the pitch-black night. My phone had no signal. The only sound was the ticking of the engine cooling. Then I heard it. A soft laugh, high-pitched, echoing from the trees. I locked my doors immediately, hands trembling on the steering wheel. The laughter grew louder, closer, accompanied by faint whispers I couldn't understand. I closed my eyes, begging for daylight. When dawn finally came, the car started without issue, but in my rearview mirror, standing in the mist, was a group of shadowy figures silently watching as I drove away. I never took Old Mill Road again, but those figures still haunt my dreams, reminding me how close I came to never leaving those woods. My grandfather always warned me never to climb the stairs in the woods behind his house in northern Michigan. They were old, stone steps leading nowhere, just standing alone in the forest. Locals whispered they were cursed, left behind from a long-gone mansion. One summer evening, curiosity overtook me. Ignoring Grandpa's warnings, I ventured out, flashlight in hand, to find those mysterious stairs. They were exactly as described. Ancient, moss-covered stone steps perfectly preserved, climbing upwards into empty darkness. Compelled by some strange force, I started climbing. Each step felt colder than the last. At the top, nothing but dense, endless woods stretched out before me. When I turned around to descend, I realized the steps had vanished. Panic surged through me. I was trapped in complete darkness. Hours passed, and just as hope began fading, I stumbled out onto a familiar path leading back home. I raced back to the house, relieved but shaken. My grandfather simply nodded when he saw me, sadness in his eyes. "I warned you," he whispered. Now I hear those stairs calling to me every night, begging me to climb them again, this time for good.
If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video. It helps more than you think. And if you want more true horror stories like this one, subscribe